Okay, right. So I've saved on a new investment that we've just taken on till last. So we've just teamed up with Vida. Vida are a development house. They're a UK-based company, but they've got offices in Dubai at the moment. Now, I was intrigued when I first saw this investment because I was in Dubai when it first started in the 2000s, and it was a desert with a few skyscrapers up there. Now, one of the first projects that I remember was Palm Jumeirah. Palm Jumeirah was it's an artificial archipelago. It's an artificial island, and it was one of the first ones. It's an iconic development, and it was I think of about 2,000 villas that were built on this artificial island. Now, I think it completed in about 2006. I know the handover was a little bit late, but the development now, it's over 14 years old, which makes me feel a little bit old myself. But all these brand new villas that were built, I mean, it was a stunning development, but they were built to the highest spec. Now, over that time, 14, 15 years, obviously, a lot of them have gone into disrepair and they haven't been updated in a long time. Now, what Vida have identified is there's a big opportunity at the moment to update these villas up to the highest spec and resell them on the open market. So there's a section of Palm Jumeirah called Garden Villas, which we're going to look at today, and we're going to talk to the investment director, James, about it, and he's going to explain more about it. But basically, what you can do with this project is you can actually get shares in Vida. So what Vida are doing is they're offering preference shares. So you can invest from $100,000. They're going to give you a fixed dividend of 12% each year. If you invest over 500,000, they're going to offer you a 2% uplift on that as well. Basically, what they're using the funds for is to renovate and develop the villas on Palm Jumeirah. So, without any further ado, James, are you there?
Hi, Conrad.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good. So guys, this is James Wilkinson. He's the investment director. Do you want to just introduce yourself first, and then we can talk a little bit about the company and what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, as Conrad said, I'm investment director of Vida and Vida Property Fund. This is my business partner, Ajay, who's managing director. I think Ajay will probably sort of discuss a little bit more about us, and then I can answer any questions going forward.
Perfect. Yeah, guys, go ahead.
Thanks, James. Hi, Conrad. So essentially, Vida is the coming together of essentially real estate and investment specialists with a key management team of 4 people, 3 of which are UK kind of British passport holders, 1's Canadian. And as I say, we have a lot of knowledge and expertise across the financial investment space, whether that's mutual funds for Standard Life, which Roman, one of the management team's background is. James is investment director, managing private wealth for quite a long time now. My background is in construction, essentially born into a family business. So I've grown up around construction sites. Our construction business we've had in the UK since 2004. I decided to relocate after the first COVID lockdown and before the second one to try and see some bluer skies. And it was evident that there's a lot of beautiful properties in the prime areas, and with for a number of reasons, there's a lot of people relocating to Dubai and a lot of ultra high net worths. And the challenges are a lot of the properties in the prime areas, as you alluded to earlier, are quite tired. So essentially, when I was initially looking at properties for myself, we realized how tired they were and what the scale of the opportunity is. So decided to open up a construction company here as well, targeting retail as well as residential, working with third-party clients. So we've been doing that for the last couple of years, working on some very high-end luxury villas. And where we are in terms of Dubai as a marketplace now is, as well as being recently voted again the world's cleanest city and the world's safest city, it also has the most millionaires per capita anywhere in the world. And people previously were looking to relocate here for 2 or 3 years and potentially move on. Now people are looking at moving here as their primary residence, as well as many people using it as a secondary residence. And it's also the world's most popular tourist destination, with about 32 million people coming through each year, and Dubai expecting to double that over the next 10 years. UAE also has a population of about 10 million, with a lot of those people in Dubai, probably about 7 million, and they're looking to develop an infrastructure in Dubai alone to cater for 20 million people by 2030. So that gives you some indication of the demographic that's moving here and the scale at which people are moving here. And there are a lot of developers obviously established in the marketplace, and as places get developed, typically, naturally they'll build further and further outwards. And that's what the primary developers have been focusing on. And that is what's created the opportunity, because all these people that are moving in have international businesses, etc. They want the primary locations, and the Palm Jumeirah is one of the global icons. And it's the first place that people are wanting to have either as a primary or a secondary residence. But what people are not wanting to do is purchase villas and go into the minefield that is trying to identify the right contracting partners, so on and so forth, and manage that renovation process themselves. And they also don't have the time because they're too busy with their core business interests. So what people are wanting when coming to purchase in Dubai is they're wanting convenience. They're wanting something that's finished in the prime locations to the optimum standard and specifications. And that was where we came in. We put our minds together. Our chairman, Jonathan Wrigley, he's one of the largest developers in the UK of assisted living, done about 1,800 homes over the last number of years, across about 50 projects, deployed about 250 million. Together, we've raised a couple of €100 million for social housing in the UK and Ireland as well. And with James and Roman, we saw the scale of the opportunity, and that was where Vida was conceived. So as you say, what we are looking to do is to acquire existing residential dwellings that are in need of renovation. So we're not creating value, we're elevating value by buying a tangible asset and a day one, renovating that to the highest standards, and then exiting that into the open market. However, we do have a lot of very strong relationships with a number of property companies such as Sotheby's, and chances are, it will be sold off market during its renovation because the database of people looking to buy it already exists. So that essentially is the key elements of what we're looking to achieve. There's 918 garden villas on the Palm, so there's certainly plenty of properties for us to acquire and renovate. A number of them have been renovated, so we have a lot of comparable data in terms of what an unrenovated property is selling for and what a renovated one is selling for. So over the last number of months, 12 months or so, it's been about pulling the right team, the right counterparties together with the right competency and the right local partners to be able to execute this to the standards that we have done for the 250, 500 million of previous developments we've completed.
Perfect. Yeah. I guess one thing that comes to mind when I was thinking about this investment, one of the most important things, I guess, is the partners that you'd be working with on this. So the interior designers, the refitters, the builders, because you're going to be building it we're going to be renovating it to a very high standard to sell it to the end users. Can you tell us a little bit more about the partners that you're working with for these villas and the renovations?
Yes, so One of the things where we excel is because we have competency from an investment stage, as well as a development stage, as well as a construction stage, is that we have in-house competency throughout every stage of the process. One of the key partners whom we're working with is a company called Build Corp Interiors. They've been here nearly 20 years. They are a European management team as well. And I believe currently we've got about 75 projects on the go at this super high level. And they've probably done 50 plus palm properties, a number of which have been these garden villas. So what they've been able to do over the last 19 years in existence, and especially as the people on the palm have looked to have renovations over the last kind of 3 to 5 years, is really get efficient and build almost a standardized approach in terms of the different elements that are needed and what's the best way to optimize the floor layouts and optimize the space and maximize exit value.
Perfect. Okay, just while I've got you here, I want to show, because I spoke to James earlier and he just sent me some information on a completed project. So I think it'd be nice for the investors just to see, the people at the webinar, the types of villas that you're looking at the moment and the finishes that you can do, so that, it's always nice to see where their money goes. So let's just pull that up. Okay. 1 second. Okay, is that coming up on your screen, guys?
Yep, we can see
Perfect. So, do you just want to tell us a little bit about this project and what you did here?
So this project's actually our construction.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was one of your construction partners.
Our construction team. They recently refurbished this. This was actually bought in 2021 for 10 million dirham. It had 5 million dirham spent on it, and it was later sold, I think, January this year for 44.5 million dirham. So you can see the huge uplift that there is on refurbishing these properties. It's a typical refurbishment in the fact that it's a layout that has been done to maximize the space, maximize the investment value. It's a high-end luxury spec. It has all the mod cons that you would expect for such a luxury product. Home entertainment system, and full home management system. Obviously, it's got a fantastic view.
Yeah, absolutely.
There.
Just trying to get into the interiors. Let's have a look at the interiors.
Look at the houses either side of it, Conrad. It gives you an indication of what a pre-renovated versus post-renovated looks like. One of the previous images that you scrolled past.
Oh, okay. Let's go back. Tell me when. Here. No, before that.
So left or right, if you look at left or right there, it shows you very tired, sort of Spanish style villa, 16 years old, 14 to 16 years old, in real need of updating. And that's what we purchase, and effectively we turn it into that modern ultra luxury product.
Yeah, like I'm just looking at the interiors. Obviously, you can see that it's, and this was why I sort of asked the question: who are the partners that you work with, the interior designers? Because, I mean, for me, this is crucial that you can see the quality of these of the finishings, the exterior, and you're going to need this to fetch. I think this. What do these sell for now? About 40 million dirhams on the open market.
Yeah, I would say in the region of 38 to 42 million on average. This one sold for 44.5, but it has probably one of the best views. It depends how high up you're on the front. The front sort of the branches. The higher up you go, the better view you've got, and the deeper waters you've got, the better beach you've got. So they're a bit more expensive than the ones that are closer to the trunk. But yeah, they're all in region of 38 to 40 million.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but just a couple of questions actually from David. He's asking, how long does each renovation take typically? I know there's no set time for it, but what's the approximation for how long it would take to renovate one of these villas?
To be honest, it's a very timely process with regards to getting it through planning. Unlike sort of UK, Europe, they're actually quite efficient at pushing through planning. So once planning's approved, which normally takes 6 weeks, it's about 6 to 9 month renovation, depending on what we're actually doing to it. We would purchase the extra land at the back, which it basically provides a bigger garden or bigger space to put an infinity pool in, which maximizes the investment. So as long as that's purchased at the same time as the villa purchase, it actually would be more like 6 to 7 months for the refurbishment.
Okay, and just
Conrad,
if we can just recap on the numbers again, guys. So approximately, I mean, these villas, how much do you, within boundaries, how much do you expect to acquire them for? Let's say in the garden villas, I mean, pre-renovation, what's the expected price? And can you just rerun for our investors what the selling price would be, and what you think roughly the typical margin on these? Because I think it's important, if you're committing to paying 12% back dividends each year, I think it's important for the investors to know how much margin there is to because let's say there's 40, 45, 50% margin, and then we know there's definitely enough to pay the 12% dividend. So could you just recap that for us once more?
Yeah, I think that's where I come in. That's my background, investment management, and that's one of the key elements that we try and make sure the figures are there to support, obviously, the returns. We've been looking at purchasing right now for, I would probably say 17 to 18 million dirham. The renovation costs are somewhere between 4.5 and 5 million dirham, depending on which type it is. And you've got a really sort of look at worst case scenarios of 36 million dirham exit. Best case is 40 million dirham exit, but somewhere in between 36 and 40 is where we're aiming for, and at that we're at 51% profit on cost to anywhere 56% profit on cost. So the figures are there to stack up the returns for investors.
Perfect. So let's just recap the actual investment, because there's a few different options. So as I understand it, you're offering preference shares in Vida. Now, there's two options. So investors can go in at $100,000 as an investment, and they get, is that a 12% yearly dividend?
Yes. So minimum investment's $100,000. They get preference shares in the Vida property fund. And at $500,000, they would get an extra 2% on top of the 12% yearly coupon.
Perfect. And exit strategies, can you just tell us a little bit more about that for the investor?
Yeah, I think, again, it's a fixed term investment of 24 months. At 24 months, the investor can exit, no problem at all. They would get their original capital back at the end of the term. If investors want to exit early, we always have investors lined up to effectively purchase those shares. So it is possible, although obviously it depends on where we're at with the build and where we're at with investors. Other investors are waiting to come into the fund.
Perfect. So the villas themselves will be held in a financial structure, but essentially the SPV will hold, I think as I understand it, through another company, but will ultimately hold these villas as a form of security. In addition to that, you're going to have a trustee in place on the fund that's going to sit on the board as well. Is that correct?
Yes, we've got a fund management company that effectively acts as administrator. They're on the board, they're directors within the fund. We also have trustees in place that are also directors. So we as a board have to execute decisions at board level. It's not myself and Ajay making decisions and Jonathan, the chairman, and Roman. It's actually a collective board decision on purchasing, exit, which the trustees and the fund administrators are there to act on the investors' behalf, which provides peace of mind, security, and that's one of our main concerns for investors, is to have that security in place.
Great. Just another question, actually, just in the live chat. David's asked, why 24 months versus on a project-by-project basis if the turnaround is only 6 to 7 months for the renovation?
So essentially, the reason why we look to do over 24 months is, we have a buffer in the sense that we believe it can be done in 6 to 8 months, say. But we have a buffer, so we're targeting maximum 12 months, knowing that it can be done well in advance of there. But once we have completed on that transaction, the idea is then to recycle the capital and acquire a further property. So over the 24 months, we would be looking to be able to recycle the principal 2 to 3 times, but more likely 2 times, but at least 2 times. That again enables us to recycle the capital to make additional gains, thus maximizing the opportunity and maximizing the ability to service investor returns.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I thought. So obviously it's 24 months, but it won't be just one project you complete in that time. You've obviously got a pipeline of villas that you can acquire and renovate. So once you've moved on from the first one, you'll just continue it and continue it. So with the 2-year, do they have to exit after 2 years, or can the investment be rolled over further?
No, the investment can be rolled over. Effectively, they're purchasing shares, so they can keep the shares in the fund for as long as they want. What we do look at doing is making sure on a quarterly basis investors know exactly what our next quarter looks like with regards to the plan and what properties we are acquiring. So, from our point of view, it's key investors are updated on a regular basis so they can make the informed decision on whether they want to stay within the fund for another 24 months or exit at month 24.
Just another question here, which I think we discussed earlier, James, is do you have any concerns about the higher end market and there's enough buyers? I think when we spoke that you sort of did put a buffer zone in there to make sure there's enough margin, even if there is a drop in the market, so to speak. But actually, it's a good question. With the higher end, obviously it's a smaller market. Is there any concerns with that, with the higher end villas that you'll be renovating and selling?
I think if you look at Dubai as a whole, I think we were discussing earlier on today, since January, the Palm Jumeirah, the price has gone up 10% since January. Now, that might make some people nervous. We're actually seeing from all the data that we pull in from various different property experts and accountancy firms that the next 2 years, it's still going to be as buoyant as it is now. So we're not worried about that. Although what we have tried to do is mitigate risk for ourselves and investors by, we work on figures which are really undervalued. So I said to you earlier, we've put the figures in there at 36 million as a worst case scenario. We don't try and overachieve. We make sure that the investment works at a lower level. So if there is a correction in the market, we're still realizing the gains that we need to realize for investors. So yeah, it's also Dubai really right now, it is at the luxury end. It is it's a seller's market right now. but the luxury end, and you know, it's basic supply and demand. There's not enough supply on the Palm Jumeirah of luxury villas. And if you go on there today and look between 36 and 45 million, you'll probably find 4 or 5 of the types that are on. And those sellers are really turning down huge figures because they can.
Okay, yeah, no, that's okay. So just to sort of recap now, a couple of things I'll just highlight as well is this investment is limited to 50 investors. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we've gone through it. So like the other investments we've got a trustee in place. There's 2 investment options. 100,000 as an entry level investment, 12%. Oh, are the dividends just paid annually, or when are the dividends paid?
Paid annually.
Perfect. You've got the exit option at year 2, but you can keep the investment rolling should you wish. Anything else, guys, that you wanted to add? Anything else that you feel the investors would benefit from knowing?
Well, essentially, you know, one of the key reasons why some people are working with us from an investment standpoint is the development going up across Dubai is vast, and there is a shortage of properties. And as I say, there's a lot of new builds coming on the market. So a lot of international investors, you know, their only kind of viable route to benefiting from the Dubai real estate market is to buy properties and rent them out. But as you alluded to earlier on one of the previous conversations, Conrad, is, you know, there's a headache that comes with that from the management of it, the maintenance, you know, potentially furnishing it. So the yields that a lot of the investors in property over here are getting gross versus net, you know, they could be receiving net of, you know, single kind of 5-6% kind of net yields. So, you know, one of the things that's attractive to some of our clients is that we're enabling them to still have a passive investment income, but penetrate through kind of the high level traditional buy to rent and actually start to get more attractive returns that are robust by being able to be a part of renovation properties of the high-end luxury segment, which is quite exciting to a lot of investors, and being able to pool capital to get some higher ticket items. The higher ticket items is where the premiums are to be made in Dubai. You know, there's so much wealth here, and there are a lot of people that are relocating, whether it's from the UK, whether it's from places such as Monaco, Hong Kong, Singapore. And since the working week here changed from a Sunday to Thursday to Monday to Friday, there's a lot of new commercial entities that are starting to head up Middle Eastern offices here as well, because it's ideally located from Asia and Europe, from a time zone as well as from a travel standpoint. So there's a shortage of properties. There's a huge growth. There's about 100,000 new visas of expats being issued per month. So there's about 1.2 million of expats coming per month. This is going to continue to increase year on year if the Dubai municipality are to get anywhere near their objectives. And as these ultra high net worths are coming, as I say, they're wanting convenience, premium, luxury, high end. And the first place that they think of is the Palm Jumeirah. There's 918 properties on there, so it is limited. Obviously, not every property is up for sale. Some have been renovated, and that's why they're going to go for premiums. And as we move forward, that should continue to, you know, be constant, if not increase on the premiums.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, listen, I think that's pretty much it, guys. Appreciate it, guys. Like I said, there's a form on the live chat. If you're interested in Vida's opportunity, it is limited. We only have scope for 50 investors on this. So if you fill in your details, we'll be able to get you the investment pack. It's actually been launched. It's in pre-launch at the moment. It's going to go live next week. So if you want the heads up on that, just fill in the forms and I'll speak to you personally about it. Guys, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be working together in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Connor.
Okay, so guys, that was it. We had 3 interesting investments there. So just to recap, we had the Ashbrooks investment. We spoke to Arif, the managing director. So that's you can invest from £10,000. You can invest from 1, I think, to 3 years, and there's different returns from starting from 10%. Trustee in place, and there's a company debenture. We spoke to Yield Invest. Really nice guys. Worked with them for quite a while now. You can buy physical property with them on 10-year rental contracts with housing associations. You've got their loan note as well. And lastly, but not least, we spoke to Vida. Really, the Palm Jumeirah is an iconic project. It's a great opportunity to get involved in this and be involved in the renovation of the high-end properties there. One thing I like about it is there's high margins there. So, at the moment, they're looking at 45 to 50% uplift on these. So to pay 12% to investors as a dividend is definitely achievable. And it's not putting undue stress on the investment model itself. Now, I think that's pretty much it. I'll just sort of cap by, thanks, first of all, thanks for attending, you guys. I hope you found it informative. You'll notice with all these investments, they're all hands-free. They all give you in excess of 10% a year. Looking at the cost of living at the moment, I was just looking at the economic tables, and my country, the UK, we've got inflation at 10% at the moment. So if you're getting income, if you're leaving your money in the bank at the moment and you're getting 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever it is, in real terms you're actually losing money. So all these investments that can give you at least 10 to 12%, that's enough to so you're not losing money on your investments, that you're going above the cost of inflation. So we've looked at that as as an important factor, and also the security. So what I'd love to do is, like I said, to fill in the forms if you're interested. If you want to have a chat with me, just send me a message, a DM. I'm always happy to have a consultation, ask any questions that you might have. If there's anything specific you want to ask me, I'll put my email address in the live chat. Let me just Lyra, could you just put my email address in the live chat if anyone wants to email me direct? But guys, unless you had any more questions, thanks again for coming. Thanks for your time. And yeah, anyone that's interested, I'll go through the forms a little bit later today. And yeah, we'll be in touch. Okay. Thanks, guys. All right. Thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye.